Yo, Hanna Barbera. What do y'all know about Hanna Barbera? Do you know that is a perfectly good commodity sitting around to be the next connected cinematic universe? I'm gonna tell y'all all about it. This is Be Real with D Real. What up, realists? It's your man D Real, the Black Panther stalking urban jungle vibrating with D's, bringing you another Be Real with D Real. I'm that D Real. Check it out. Have you ever thought that there are a lot of other animation companies, places who could have success with a connected universe, cinematic universe? It's been done several times, but to the greatest degree of success by Marvel. Now, I submit to you, there's a perfectly good franchise just sitting around that is the connected universe, Hanna Barbera. Wait, Hanna Barbera? Ain't that Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and Scooby Doo? Yes, it is. But Hanna Barbera boasts an amazing plethora of action-based and superhero entertainment. But before we get into all of that, what I need y'all to do is like, comment, and subscribe to the Be Real with D Real page if you're digging what a brother's showing. Now, on to the particulars. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera were together long before they formed Hanna-Barbera Productions. Their first collaboration together was an animated feature in 1940 called Puss Gets the Boot, in which a inept cat, unable to catch a mouse, gets kicked out of the home. This same mouse happens to be none other than, no, not that mouse, Jerry. And the cat that replaced Jasper, of course, was Tom. Tom Cat. A lot of imagination put into that name. Anyway, after a successful run with, I believe it was Hugh Harmon and Rudolph Ising, who were working out of MGM at the time, and they had the Harmon Ising cartoons. Later on, would become known as Merry Melodies, Looney Tunes. See how they do that? Oh, so clever with their words. But anywho, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera split off and formed their own company, Hanna-Barbera Productions, in July 7th of 1957. They immediately began to churn out tons and tons of cartoons with anthropomorphic animals. Magilla Gorilla, Wally Gator, Peter Potamus. The most accepted and recognizable of these same letter first name and last name characters was Huckleberry Hound. He went on to head up a plethora of more of those anthropomorphic characters. Mr. Jinx, Pixie and Dixie, Snoop and Blabs, Secret Squirrel, all of that jazz. But anywho, eventually they decided that they needed something else besides all of these feel good, yay characters. Hence was born the pantheon of heroes you see pictured behind me. In 1964, though, when it all kicked off, it wasn't even with a superhero. Hanna-Barbera's action universe got kicked off by a kid. That's right. 1964, October 64, we got to see Johnny Quest. And who the heck wouldn't want to be Johnny Quest? Johnny Quest was a kid who hung out with his homie, his dad, and a bodyguard, and they flew around in a jet with their dog, getting into all kinds of adventures. And the only school he did was when somebody decided they wanted him to sit down and do some lessons. And he was always finding ways to get out of that. So Johnny Quest ran for about 2 seasons, right on time for the 66th season, which premiered none other than Space Ghost. That's right. Hanna-Barbera's most recognizable action adventure flagship character made his debut in 1966. Space Ghost followed the adventures of course, the titular character and his power bands and his invisible power and his phantom cruiser, and he lived on the ghost planet. Can you see the ghost theme going on here? Yes. And the crux of every episode was basically his two young charges, Jan and Jace. Uh, I believe the voice of Jace was done by, oh my goodness, why won't his name come? Tim Matheson, most recognizable in Animal House. But anywho, it was always Space Ghost coming to their rescue against the likes of enemies like Zorak, Brak, and Moltar. And Zorak and Brak, maybe you didn't know what was going on with them as far as power sets and what they were up to, but people like Moltar, the Creature King, the Widow, you could almost pretty much figure out what it was they were going to be up against week to week. But it was like 1966. That kind of stuff was great. At the same time, in 1966, you also got Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles. Frankenstein Jr. was basically just a giant robot that looked like Frankenstein and did really cool stuff. The Impossibles were a band of all things. And whenever there was trouble, they'd find a way to duck out of a gig and turn into Coil Man, Fluid Man, and Multi Man. Again, powers exactly what they sound like. Coil Guy, springs, jumping around. Fluid Man, so on and etc. This is the 60s, y'all. There wasn't a whole lot of deep thought put into characters. But given the right kind of 21st century tweak, characters like Birdman and the Galaxy Trio, the Herculoid, Shazam, Mitor, Samson, and Goliath, all of these characters, a few of which are pictured behind me, could very well go on to star in some sort of cinematic version of the characters. If anything, having Space Ghost head that universe up, a la Tony Stark / Iron Man, and just sort of being the focal point of that universe. I can recall that in the 1980s, they had a reboot of some of the cartoon characters from the 60s, particularly Space Ghost and the Herculoids, and they put them together in a 1-hour block with 10-minute episodes. And there was also another team of superheroes introduced that were called the Teen Force. And Teen Force, there were 3 of them, and they seem to be similar, not exactly, but similar in power set to members of the Galaxy Trio. It's 3 of them. So I'm not gonna elaborate on Hanna-Barbera's ability to successfully regurgitate formulas, but it is definitely something that they were the Jedi masters of. They could regurgitate a character and make you feel good about watching that regurgitated character. But this is what I'm saying. Space Ghost is there. We don't want our last memory of Space Ghost to be him on a talk show talking to people who are high. We want to remember Space Ghost like he was, and like I said, bringing him back, bringing him up to date in the 21st century would be a very easy thing. Simple as making him like an anti-hero. Uh, in the early 2000s, Joe Kelly did a Space Ghost miniseries for DC Comics where he fleshed out an origin, even gave Space Ghost a name, Thaddeus. Yeah, I call myself Space Ghost too. Um, and basically, he was a cop in line with kind of his upholding the law and justice and goodness and all of that. But the people he worked with, his fellow cops, were dirty and they were on the take. And they wanted him to join them, and he didn't want to do it. And so they came to his house at night, murdered his wife, and left him for dead. Somehow he ended up getting to the ghost planet. This guy who was a tinkerer and a creator made the power bands the invisible power. He decided to put on a costume and exact his vengeance on the people who killed his wife. He later went on to become the protector of the universe, Space Ghost. So, tweaking that story a little bit would be a great jumping on point for Space Ghost. As producers and writers are wont to do, they don't want to just take material and regurgitate it exactly like it was in the comic. I think the only exception to that rule might have been Watchmen or 300. Zack Snyder, if you're watching, bro, make this happen. I mean, Hanna Barbera, most of those properties are what I think that does Turner still own the rights to them, or is it or have they reverted back to Warner Brothers? If not, because Warner Brothers owns, well, they did own the rights. Right now, as far as I can see, belongs to Turner Broadcasting. Turner Broadcasting bought the rights to all of the Hanna Barbera materials in the early 90s, and they used them to make the Boomerang channel that, shows those old school cartoons. So there you go. You guys get together, work out the red tape, the bureaucracy aspect of it, and let's get us a plot going. Maybe starting off with Space Ghost and something going on with maybe Zorak, all my Space Ghost heads. Yo, Kokai, my man, here we are. We doing it, baby. Here's the step. This is step one. Now, to all my Space Ghost heads who remember Space Spectre was a parallel universe version of Space Ghost. An antimatter universe version of Space Ghost, if you will. So everything that Space Ghost was in our universe, he was the direct opposite. So if somehow his universe ends up collapsing one way or another and he ends up in ours, we could make him the master planner, if you will, sort of like the Thanos, the buildup. We get to him through Zorak, through enemies of the other characters, and they somehow all end up banding together along the way. Not an impossible premise, because in the season finale of Space Ghost, when he faced the Council of Doom, he ended up teaming up not only with the Herculoids, but he also ended up teaming up with Shazam as well. So they have met in continuity. So I don't think it would be a problem to have them team up. And then, as I said before, in the 1980s, Space Ghost and the Herculoids returned to do Space Stars. And so there was lots of crossing over and teaming up there. So it is not that far of a reach to see a lot of these characters coming together and doing things. And also, DC Comics currently has a Hanna Barbera superhero universe comic that they do monthly. So there are several instances of connected universe in the Hanna Barbera universe amongst its superheroes. So, not a stretch. Y'all need to get together, hash it out, figure out how it's gonna happen because you got a multi-billion-dollar franchise sitting here in front of you guys. Don't mess this up. What do y'all think? Do you think the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe is something that's viable, something that can be done if some people get together and get up off of their asses and make something happen? Who most in the Hanna-Barbera universe of characters would you like to see? Space Ghost, Birdman, Blue Falcon, the Galaxy Trio, Samson and Goliath? Put the names down there in the comments. And as always, if you're digging what I'm shoveling, comment, like, and subscribe to the Be Real with D Real page. I'm D Real. I will be back with another interesting topic for you to comment and like. And until then, y'all be good. Be good to each other.